I first posted this video back in February 2019 when Bitcoin was sitting at just $3,500. In it, I accurately predicted Bitcoin's price action from 2019 to 2026. Here were the key calls. First, I identified $3,500 as the absolute market bottom. Second, I predicted we would hit $65,000 in 2021, which was spot on. And third, I predicted the price would reach $120,000 before 2027, a milestone we actually hit in Q4 2025. I originally released this in Chinese, but today I re-edited it with an AI-generated English voice so more of you can see the data. To see the original version and the community feedback, check the link in the description. Let's dive into the research.
So in this video, we mainly want to share with everyone roughly when in 2019 it would be most appropriate to buy Bitcoin. That is the topic. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. Let me give you the conclusions directly. There are basically 2 points. The first is that buying in the first half of the year would be more appropriate than buying in the second half. The second point is, based on a 4-year cycle calculation, that 2019 will be, for the whole year, in a Bitcoin trough, a relatively good buying opportunity. Now, let us explain the reasons behind these 2 conclusions. Here we can see that Bitcoin's price has followed a historical pattern of volatility that is strikingly similar. There are 2 lines, a red line and a blue line. The red line represents the 4-year price volatility cycle from 2012 to 2016. In between, there are 8 points, each point being the midpoint price for half a year, which you can think of as the average price. You can observe how this half year's changes happen at each point. From 2012 to 2016, that's the actual calculated volatility. The blue line represents 2016 to 2019, which should actually be a 4-year weekly cycle from 2016 to 2020. Since only 3 years have passed, this cycle has only 6 points. At that point, the blue point is the forecast point. The forecast, based on this cycle, suggests that in January to June 2019, the price would be about $3,800 as the half-year average price. From July to December 2019, the average price is expected to be around $5,500. Let's take a look. This chart is more direct. It shows half a year. Each point represents the half-year average price and the median price. It covers 2016 to 2019 with 2 forecast points marked in red. The earlier part already shows a price, and its relation to the second futures curve will be close. Now we discuss a question. What is the lowest possible point? Based on the prior trend and calculations, the low should be around $2,700. Of course, we do not advise everyone to chase this low, since sometimes the low may never come and prices rise. Alright, then here is the question. How long should we hold this in our hands? How much money should we invest? And for how long should we hold it? This is a key question. Let's look at the forecast that follows and its results. Starting in October 2019, it will begin to form the next cycle, which will run into 2023. For the next cycle, the forecast chart here shows that the price would roughly start from around $5,500 at the low end and reach around $6,870, then up toward the high side with a peak near $35,000. $33,000, $33,000. That means, currently, it is about $3,400 or $3,500, and the peak here would be $33,000. This is the half-year average price, not the peak day. The peak day is estimated to reach $65,000, while the low day would drop to around $13,000. And later, the price would fall to $13,000. That also means, in normal terms, a recommendation. You could hold it in hand. You should be able to hold for about 3 years, since at this point, we are not even 3 years away, and 3 years from now, if it is $3,300, by then, it would be $33,000, roughly 10 times higher. So don't chase this high. If someone says 3 years with 10-fold growth is acceptable, I think if you have extra money, you could invest a little in this area. This forecast is not guaranteed, for reference only. This is the conclusion we derive from analyzing this cycle. Okay, then this is a single 3-year judgment. Then this represents a relative price for 9 years out, in the year 2007. So 9 years after that, 3 years later would be a cycle, right? After another 4 years, there will be 1 cycle. 9 years after that, there will be 2 cycles. After 2 cycles, for the next cycle, if you calculate it this way, roughly speaking, its half-year average price could reach $80,000 per unit, and its peak could reach $120,000 per unit. So what does that mean? It basically comes down to 2 kinds of investment. Therefore, my personal recommendation is wait for the next wave to earn this money and then withdraw.